problem at Penn. It seems that the majority of our students do not even know how Penn specifically defines sexual assault or what the consequences are. How do you plan on addressing the ambiguity surrounding the school's sexual assault policies and the pervasiveness of sexual assault on campus? What specific steps would you take to combat sexual assault and ensure that the student body is better informed? So Joyce, it starts with you.
Yeah, this is something I feel very strongly about, especially having worked with groups like 1 and 4 and ASAP at Penn, who specialize in this very department, along with Vagina Monologues, which I was a cast member of. I think it's working with these groups to make sure that they're mandatory NSO sessions where students can be educated about these issues so that first coming into Penn they understand. We've also been working on a module like Penn AM to where students can be better educated before coming to the university. We've made some pretty amazing progress on it. There will be mandatory training coming up in the next couple of years, which we're really excited about. And moving forward, these are the type of things I would continue to work on.
Yeah, I mean, Joyce does an incredible job with this, I got to say. And certainly, if I were to win this, certainly keep working with her and support her on her project. This is huge. I'm totally in support of a sexual assault module, which is what I believe is what you've been working on. And then obviously continue that communication channel with the Women's Center. It's probably one of the most critical places to find out any kind of information about this. I know that Hillel is also interested in working, because they have a lot of social workers. Hillel is also interested in kind of being another safe space other than the Women's Center, which may at times get a lot of outreach from a lot of women from a variety of different backgrounds. So maybe even finding other places where people can go and feel safe to express themselves would also be great, in working in tandem with some of the great work that's already been done.
Yeah, Gabe raised a good point, or a great point in bringing in Hillel. I think cultural resource centers are a place that people go to if they're survivors of sexual assault. That being said, I know that a couple days ago, the Arch, members of the Arch and the 6 cultural resource centers had an event, Breaking Silence, Building Community, that directly addresses the nuance of how minorities fit in with sexual assault and violence prevention. I think it's also promoting and supporting these types of events as well.
No rebuttal.
You can go. You can speak.
For?
A rebuttal.
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
It's fine.
Sorry. So the next question on this topic is submitted by the Women's Political League.
Okay.
They wrote, "This has been a historic year for the UA. We have the first woman UA presidential candidate ever, as well as a woman running for vice president, and representation of women is up nearly 10% from last year. However, we could still do better. How would you maintain and expand upon this improvement in gender diversity in student government and other leadership positions around campus?"
Has to be through recruitment. Recruitment of women, especially bright young women interested in whatever issue it is possible, to get onto the UA and to know that that's a channel to get their actual issues heard and responded to by the administration is a critical thing, because there are so many women, even in the Women's Political League, who are very, very bright and who obviously are interested in many, many things, but they don't necessarily know that the UA is one avenue to actually pursue that. I know as vice president, I obviously oversaw the selection of many of the committee members, cabinet members. I think 6 of them out of the total 11 were actually women, which is the first time in a while that that's been the case. And obviously my vice presidential candidate is Julie Bitar, who's also a very bright young woman who's done an incredible job with the Penn Undergraduate Health Coalition and her creation of that this past year. So yes, recruitment is probably the most critical thing, and making sure that students know that the UA is an avenue to get those things done, and I think that's where we get more genuine female involvement in the UA in the future.
Yeah. So this is something that Penn administrators are even pushing forward as well. I participated in 2 focus groups. There was a study that was started my freshman year to see why there is disparity between leadership amongst males and females here at Penn. And the 2 key takeaways were that women were going for leadership positions, but they weren't going for the top position. The fact that, and since the position of UA president was created, that I'm the first woman even running is pretty astounding. The second takeaway from that study was that mentorship plays a huge role when it comes to fostering female leadership. I think WPL has done an amazing job in that. They recently had a workshop called Elect Her, where they brought in prominent student leaders on campus to kind of tell about their stories and why they decided they wanted to be leaders. I think it's this type of thing that the UA should be supporting in order to foster more gender equity amongst not just leadership positions, but some of the top leadership positions on campus.
Yeah, and also reaching out to minority communities. Honestly, if you look at some of even the 5B groups, they are led in large part by women. You know that those leaders are out there, and so not only just getting women, but getting women from minority communities, I think tackles two issues, is getting more minorities in leadership positions, myself being a Latino, and getting more women in leadership positions, even more highlights what we're trying to do and make it more diverse, but yes.
Yeah, as a former chair of a 5B organization, this is something that is very dear to me, as well as someone who's Asian, who identifies as Asian American. I definitely do think that there should be more minorities, more female minorities as well within UA leadership.
Great, so this ends the section on so the next section is on mental health. Mental health has been a huge issue on campus, and while we can make changes to CAPS and make sure that students know about all the resources available to them, these measures do nothing to address the key root of cause of mental health issues, namely the competitive and stressful environment at Penn. Do you have any concrete ideas for changing this environment? Also, how would you work to combat the stigma associated with mental illness?
Sure. So several ideas. Probably the issue I've been most active in the last 2 or 3 months. One is increasing the CAP staff. That will probably come after the Mental Health Task Force informs of their recommendations. But even before then, I think there are steps we can actually take as a community to help solve this on our own. Specifically reaching out to students in the Greek life community. I know that there's a lot of support for the idea that there should be mental wellness programs even within Greek life, inviting CAPS representatives to inform students of what resources are there available to them, as well as reaching out to the college house deans so that they incorporate not just during the NSO and orientation to the house period at the beginning of the year, but really throughout the year, incorporating this idea that you should be talking to your RA or your GA. You should, if you feel stressed during finals time, during on-campus recruitment, reaching out to CAPS advisors or to general academic advisors to relieve some of this stress. And then the final thing is working with Julie Bitar, my running mate, and the Penn Undergraduate Health Coalition, which this year launched the Penn Mental Health initiative to see if we can create reports that we can deliver to the Mental Health Task Force, since there is no student voice on there, and making sure that the student groups, or the student panels that the Mental Health Task Force will have, does have adequate diversity and representation of students and diverse opinions, so that they can inform us of the best kind of recommendations possible.
Yeah, I totally agree with Gabe. Those are awesome points. I think in addition to that, in terms of addressing the stressful and competitive environment that question was asked about, I think one awesome thing is this Penn Eye Care Student Gatekeeper training that CAPS just implemented. It allows students to be advocates of each other. If they identify signs of stress, I think it's really promoting these types of programs that allow students to be there in support of each other. Furthermore, in terms of outreach, I think it's important that students understand that, I don't know, there's something called a Penn face, right? And I think it's a matter of destigmatizing that. I know CAPS offers meditation sessions. I think that affects mental wellness. These types of things are supposed to be, I think they have to be promoted. I know that the Greenfield Intercultural Center, they have a talking circle this Friday where they have a dinner and they have an opportunity for students to come and share how they're feeling, and it's a safe space for them. I think it's all about creating these safe spaces that directly can remove the stigma and start moving towards removing the stressful environment.
Yeah, I think a lot of it also stems from faculty. Faculty have to be very, very aware of not only the level of work that they're giving their students, but aware that students are put into high pressure when finals and certain periods arise throughout the course of the year where there's a lot of work. And so making sure that faculty follow up with students, especially students who may not be doing as well in classes, just to make sure that they're okay on a personal and mental standpoint would actually be great to making sure that those students feel secure and comfortable in those communities.
Yeah, I think there is actually a faculty version of this as well, so I think it'd be promoting these types of things. Also, I think amongst athletic directors, implementing some type of training is important. I know the Office of the Chaplain has actually run these trainings, so as UA president, I would definitely support this to make sure that athletic coaches, athletic directors understand that they're undergoing a lot of, that athletes do undergo a lot of stress, and that they can be support systems for these athletes.
Great. The next question is submitted by the Lambda Alliance. What will you do to ensure that LGBTQ mental health issues are given adequate attention in President Gutman's task force? So, let's start with you.
Yeah, Lambda does incredible work. I think it's working with Lambda to make sure that the UA can advocate, to make sure that the LGBT voice is included in the conversation. That being said, I know sometimes it doesn't, even in the Faculty Diversity Action Plan. That's been an ongoing problem that when I was chair of United Minorities Council, we had an issue with. And this is, so as a result of my experience, I would make sure to work with Lambda to make sure there's special attention given so that LGBT students' voices are heard when it comes to mental health. I know that recently there was a town hall as well. I think it's plugging into events like that where we're able to get information and understand the issues, and I think that UA members should be there. And furthermore, I think connections should be made so that Lambda can be connected with the amazing work that Julie has been doing, so that when these reports are created, there is that voice in there. That's the type of thing, the type of connections I would strive to make in order to make sure that this voice